and today what we're going to talk about is applying for exchange, and we're going to talk about budgeting for your exchange. So we're going to talk about budgeting first of all, and I'm going to talk about budgeting. I'm Lisa. I should have introduced myself earlier actually. I look after all our exchanges outside of Europe. Then Manon is here as well. And Manon is going to talk a little bit about the application process. So we'll get moving on through the slides. So this is, you'll see here on the screen, you have Canada and China. And this is just to give you an example. This is students, what a UCD student spent while they were per month while they were on exchange in China, and then another student when they were on exchange in Canada. So I'll let you have a little look through that on your screen, and you'll see that it covers accommodation, groceries, study materials, traveling, insurance, and then just obviously other bits that come up. You'll see that the the price per month that was spent in Canada was about €1,425, and in comparison to China, where it was €520. One of the big things to keep in mind, just when you're thinking about budgeting, is that you never pay the university you're going to, you never pay their tuition fees. So those tuition fees can be quite high, and we have had students pay them by mistake, but just to note, you never pay those tuition fees. However, you do continue to pay your UCD tuition fee. So we have mentioned this a few times. Your UCD tuition fee is in around the €3,000 mark. I'm not sure the exact figure off the top of my head, but you will, even if you're not studying in UCD, you continue to pay that fee. So there's two examples. That's Canada and China, and then we're going to move on. And we have Mannheim in Germany and Valencia in Spain. And you'll see similarly as well, we have accommodation, groceries, study material, traveling, insurance, and other bits that might come up. And we have €725 for Germany, and then for Mannheim in Germany, and then €510 for Valencia in Spain. So this is just to give you an idea of what UCD students have spent per month while on exchange. Now, there is a few things to keep in mind. Everybody spends money differently. So for example, you might stay at home or be at home every evening and make your dinner, your tomato sauce and pasta, and that's going to be really cheap. Or you could be a student that goes out, eats out for their lunch, dinner, breakfast every single day, and obviously that's going to up your price. Some students might decide to travel locally and see everything in that immediate area that they're in, and then other students might decide to take flights across the country or states that they're visiting. So, you know, every student will spend their money in their own way. So just to keep that in mind, but this does give you a general idea for accommodation, groceries, the basics of what a student might spend if they were at in one of these countries. So we have Canada there, China, Germany, and Spain. Okay, so when it comes to budgeting, this is what we have recommended for students to do. And the first thing is to figure out how much do you actually currently spend, and do you keep a budget? If not, I highly recommend for you all start keeping a budget now, just so you have an idea, a realistic idea, how much money you are actually spending. And this is going to be so helpful for when you're deciding, can I actually afford to go on exchange? So we have two examples of students. We have student A that lives at home and commutes to UCD, so they'd be spending about €500 per month, so about 4,500 per academic year. And then we have student B who is renting in Dublin and paying for all bills and groceries, and of course that's going to be more expensive. So we have that estimated at around 1,100 per month, and then 9,900. And of course, again, I'm going to say it again, these are all estimates. Everybody lives in a different way. So yeah, just to keep that in mind when you need to do your own budget. It's really important that you do that in your own research to figure out what you think that your expenses are going to be like. So I'm going to say something that I have said numerous times in other sessions, but it will be really helpful. What will it cost to go on exchange? It really depends on where you go, and it can even depend where you go in a certain country. So you really have to do the research yourself. But our university partners, their websites are brilliant, and they all have estimated costs and how much it's going to cost. So if you're interested in going to Boston College, you can Google Boston College cost of living, and I am sure within a few clicks they'll have a page full of the how much full of details on how much it costs to study there. Again, just make sure you don't pay tuition, so you can ignore that. But again, it's super easy. So make sure that you're just, whenever you decide, okay, I think I'd like to go to X, Y, or Z university, a quick Google search with cost of living or how much does it cost to study there, and you'll get lots of information within a few clicks on what a typical student at that university spends. Another great place to find information are the two websites that are listed here, and they're just give you general prices for items. Like they might do like price of a pint of milk or whatever it is, but they're really useful. They give you like maybe the price of a weekly transport ticket or a yearly one. So they're really good to, again, give you an idea of how much it's going to cost to stay or live in a certain city or country or area. I would say the most reliable source are our university partner websites. That'd be the best place to go. So once you have, what you need to figure out is your total spend per your semester here at UCD. Approximately total, so that's adding up all, doing your budget out and adding it all up, and then you need to think about the universities that you're interested in going to. So for example, if we go back, we have, bear with me, we have student A here. Student A is living at home, so spending less per academic year than student B, who is renting accommodation in Dublin. So student A would need between 4,500 and 9,000 extra to go to the University of Amsterdam, and 8,500 extra to go to the University of New South Wales. So what you need to do is compare what you're currently spending here at UCD, check out the prices for, or the cost of living at the places that you're interested in going to, and work out that difference and see if there's a way that you can figure out how you're going to make up that difference. So then we have, for example, student B here as another example. He could live for the same amount in Dublin and would need 3,600 extra if they were to go to the university in New South Wales. So that's because student B is paying rent and bills and groceries while he's at UCD. So essentially, he's just going to do that, the same thing in Amsterdam. The additional costs will be maybe like a flight or just like moving in costs. So that would be the only really extra costs for that student. In comparison, if that student was to go to university in New South Wales, there might be a few more, like obviously the flight is going to be a lot more expensive. Accommodation might be slightly more expensive. So they'll have to get health insurance, which would be another additional expense, and a visa. So we worked it out that student would probably need around 3,600. But again, as I said, all estimates. This is just to show you how you can figure this out for yourself. So the incidentals, we've touched on this a little bit, but we'll just go through them. You'll have to have your health insurance and your travel insurance. This is very important. You may need to get vaccinations for certain countries or universities. So for some of our American universities, they require that you have certain vaccinations, which are really easy to get. The partner may have a small admin fee, like a fee for orientation or a fee for to use their sports facilities. So just keep that in mind. And then of course, for students that are adding an additional year to the degree here at UCD, an example of this would be arts and humanities students that are currently only here for 3 years, but if they go on exchange, they'll be here for 4 years. And I think same with social science, the social science students that are here for 3 years, but if they go on exchange, they'll be here for 4 years. You are actually going to be adding an additional year to your degree. So just think about that's an additional year of tuition, UCD tuition fee as well. You might need to get a new passport. We find that a lot of our students around this time need to get new passports. The visa will cost depending on where you're going to, your flights, and we've already mentioned vaccinations. So just to think about those incidentals is good. Now, we get a lot of questions about scholarships and grants. And I might start with outside of Europe, even though it's on the bottom. And that's because, unfortunately, we do not have a lot of scholarships or grants if you're studying outside of Europe. In fact, I would not be relying on them at all. However, we do have a scholarship for €500 per semester if you go to study at a U21 partner in Latin America or Asia. So our Latin America partner, U21 partner, is PUC Chile, and the other one is Tec de Monterrey in Mexico. So PUC Chile in Chile and Tec de Monterrey in Mexico. Now, in Asia, our U21 partner is our NUS, so that's National University of Singapore, Hong Kong University, and the University of Nottingham, Ningbo in China. So if you go to any of these partners, you'll get €500 per semester. So if you go for one semester, €500. If you go for the full academic year, €1,000. Then some of our partners offer scholarships, and we heard yesterday from one of our students that studied in Japan, and he ended up getting, it's called the JASU scholarship in Japan, and it was actually €800 a month. So that was a significant amount of money to get for his duration of his exchange. And he said that a lot of international students or exchange students that go to Japan get that scholarship. So it's really where they don't guarantee it, it's a really good incentive to maybe consider Japan as an option. There's as well the GEO scholarship in Korea, similar, don't think it's for the same amount of money, but again, something to consider. And the partner university will tell you about these scholarships. So they'll give you all of the information you need to know about these scholarships. And we don't have the information about it. So yeah, they'll share it once, and you get that. You don't have to worry about that right now. That would happen once you get selected for those universities. So when it comes to scholarships and grants outside of Europe, I would say it's very limited. And these are the U21 scholarship is the one that we offer in UCD Global. The other ones are completely out of our control. They are offered by the countries Korea and Japan. So yeah, I wouldn't be relying on a scholarship or grant to go to study outside of Europe. One thing I would say is if you are getting the Susie grant, you will still get it. We provide you with a letter that you sent to Susie, and yeah, so don't worry about that. If you are on the Susie grant, you'll still get it while you are on exchange. I'm going to talk about inside of Europe now, and if I do say anything wrong about on, you can jump in. But the Erasmus grant is a grant for students that study inside of Europe, and it's in EU countries and Switzerland. It's approximately €300 or €350 per calendar month, depending on the destination. The total amount is based on precise mobility dates. So the dates you arrive, the dates you depart, they're very specific. Again, I wouldn't get too bogged down on that just yet. But actually, in saying that, Manon, I might let you jump in there just to say, because the dates are important, aren't they?
So yeah, no, the dates, this is something to bear in mind, that it's per entire month that you would get €300. So you would get then, if you're not doing, like, let's say if you're doing 8.5 months, that would be, on a pro rata basis. And just about Switzerland, you do not get an Erasmus grant when you go to Switzerland, but Switzerland has its own grant, and they will tell you about the grant, and you'll need to apply directly to them, and they give you a grant, not UCD.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Manon. Some countries offer some form of financial assistance that students can apply to. In France, there's the CAF to help with accommodation costs. And then there is additional funding for upper level SUSI holders and HEAR students. So if you do fall into that category, do let us know, and we will see what we can do to help you right there.
And Lisa, can I add something? If you are actually a student with a disability and you're, in with the Access Center, there's actually potentially an extra grant that you could apply for. So if this is your case, you can get in touch with me if you're selected for an exchange, and I can let you know about it.
Brilliant. That's great news. Thanks, Manon. Okay, we will move on. So planning your finance. Okay, these are some ideas and that you might want to think about in the coming few months. Set up a savings account so you can't access the money that you are saving too easily, and don't have a card for it. Then keep budgeting and stick to it. So I would say you will be so surprised at how much money you can save if you actually start budgeting. And I think you'll be really surprised at what you're spending your money on and how much like all those coffees add up to per week. So yes, definitely do think about that. And I bet you will end up saving a ton of money if you do start doing that a little bit more carefully. And make some sacrifices. So again, as I said, the coffees is a good example. So you might give them up, or bring your lunch in, make your dinners at home, all those kind of things. So I suppose we're not bringing our lunches anywhere at the minute, but you know what I'm saying. Maybe not too many takeaways, maybe. So yeah, that's definitely that will definitely all add up. Think about Christmas and birthday presents. This can be really helpful, and maybe have a chat with your parents and guardians. Don't spring it on them last minute, 100%. Make sure you talk to them sooner rather than later and tell them that this is something that you're interested in doing. And you never know, you might get your passport renewed for your Christmas present or something along those lines. But yes, this can be, it's much better to talk to parents and guardians now than the day that you are made an offer and you've got a week to decide. Think about a part-time job or something that's formal, like babysitting or grinds. This is another good way, like, you know, to for a little bit of extra money and not hopefully impacting your academics too much. And then start thinking maybe about a job during your college break. So can you do something at Christmas, or maybe during the summer? I know with COVID this is all a little bit more tricky, but you never know, maybe there's something out there for you where you can get a little bit more extra money. I'm going to hand over to Manon now, who's going to talk about how to apply for the exchange program. So yeah, thanks, Emil.
Thank you, Lisa. This is a question we've received quite a bit since we've started the sessions with Lisa. So now this is the time how to actually apply to the exchange program. So a few tips we have before that is to really research the universities you would like to attend, and to create a list of courses you would like to take there. So you can do so by, you know, checking their websites. You would see, so at this point, you wouldn't have the course catalog for next year, but you can just, you know, look at the one for this year. It will already give you a pretty good idea of what's on offer out there, and to check if it's actually a good match for what you're doing in UCD. Because if you're, for example, a science or engineering student, you will need to match your courses when you're on exchange. Your exchange coordinator in your school is also a very useful contact. They can provide you some advice on the destinations and whether they think it is a good fit. As Lisa said, review your finances and make a budget for your year or semester abroad. Check the universities you can apply to on our website. So that's the UCD Global website, but also your schools or college websites. Some of your colleges have super detailed websites with, for example, if you're doing a specific combination, you may only be able to apply to some partners. So make sure you check those lists on the website. So you will need to submit your application, no matter if you're wanting to go inside Europe or outside of Europe. You can submit your application online under the application menu on SysWeb. And important to know that the applications are assessed primarily on academic merit. So this is what our application form will look like. So you'll see that you'll have some information at the top. You'll need to let us know for how long you want to go on exchange, the direction of your exchange. Let us know if you speak any languages aside from English. So that's important, particularly if you want to go to countries like France or Spain. That may come in handy. And then you'll need to let us know about your motivation or any additional comments that you'd like us to know as regards your application. And you'll have up to, so this is a work in progress that may change, but I think, Lisa, if I'm not wrong, you'll have up to 10 choices. So you'll have, your first preference will be your top choice, And then you'll have a series of optional choices in case you don't get in your top choice. So we'll always try as much as possible to give you your first preference if this is available, but there's just no guarantee. So it's always a good idea to put in more options if you're really keen on going on exchange. So in terms of application timeline, the application opens on SysWeb on the 17th of November. And I think you'll get an email when that's open to invite you to submit your application. The application closes on the 27th of January. So this date is still to be confirmed. And from the 18th of February onwards, the offers will begin. So this is when you will know if you have been selected and where you have been selected to go. And approximately around the 12th of March, all students will have heard from UCD Global about their application. So all applications will come to UCD Global. So that's Lisa and myself. And that's for all colleges, except from colleges with specific exchange program managers. So if you're business or law students, that will be slightly different, We will recommend a university for you that will need to be approved by your college, and your college will approve or reject that recommendation. And then if it's rejected, we will ask you that you suggest alternative options. And if it's approved, you will receive an offer. So before you submit your application, what do you need to do? So as we said before, check your school website, the UCD Global website. You will also need to make sure that you meet the requirements from your college. So that is the GPA. If you have any language requirements you need to meet. In terms of requirements, it's always good to check your own college or school website, because if you need to meet any specific requirements, this will be outlined there. Research the universities, as we said before, their website, their social media. You can speak to your exchange coordinator, think about your finances, and start a saving plan. And I think Lisa gave you some pretty good advice there on how to go about that. And finally, attend our exchange fair, and that will take place in 2 weeks on Wednesday, the 4th of November. Virtual office hours in November, our virtual exchanges fair on the 4th of November. The application will open mid-November, so 17th. Yeah. And as Lisa said now, we're waiting to see when the application deadline will be. That will depend on the results from trimester 1 being released. And then the selection will be rolling by the 15th of March. You'll know where you're going, and we'll have then some pre-departure sessions between February and April. And the students who've been selected to go on exchange outside of Europe will have their pre-departure sessions first. And then the students going inside of Europe will have their sessions then. I don't think I can share your screen anymore, Lisa. If you want to.
Oh, that's great.
And these are our contact details. So if you have any questions about going on exchange inside of Europe, you can contact me. And Lisa is your contact if you're interested or have any questions about exchanges outside of Europe. If you're an agriculture, business, law, or DN 700, so that is social sciences student, you have some specific contacts there that you can reach out to if you're interested in going on exchange. Sorry, Lisa. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
So yeah, I think that's it. Lisa, anything else you'd like to add, or about the application, or any further advice for students?
I don't think so, but what I would say is that the application form is actually very, very simple. It really is. It's really just the most important thing to put down is the 10 universities that you are really interested in studying at. And what I would say is don't get bogged down too much in that decision-making process, because to be 100% honest, all of our students actually end up forgetting where they applied to, because they just end up having a great time no matter where they go. So yeah, I suppose just to recap, the questions they'll be asked are when you want to go on exchange, your language proficiency. So if you don't speak any languages, or you don't have any experience with any languages, then you just leave it blank. If you have any additional comments or any motivations that you want to write, you can add them in there. But our application is based on GPA, so top GPAs get the preference for the spots, the top spots. And then, as Manon had said, the 10 places. Yeah, so you can the 10 places, so you put them down, and we would recommend that you fill up those 10 spots. And then from there, I don't think there's anything else. It's really easy. You might be asked what school that you are studying in if you're arts, humanities, or social science student. And then if you're a science student, you might be asked what's your preferred major for trimester, for stage 3.